there's no way I'm letting this guy take my belt away from my family.
Do you ever feel guilty for putting so much time and effort?
I was back in the gym as soon as I finished my fight.
What, you're uncomfortable? If I was to get into that, I'd be like, feel like no chance, like very uncomfortable, you know?
People are gonna hate you automatically just because of that.
So Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I look at you, Volks, and you know you're such a good family person, and you know you create such a positive light in this industry. And I think if you can do it through food, I wish I could cook food, but I can't. Obviously, you've gone into cooking with Volk on YouTube. Tell us a little bit, obviously, how that came about.
Oh man, it was just I enjoy cooking. You know, I ain't no chef. Like, I'm not that good at cooking really, but I enjoy it. And it just started off with throwing a bit of content out there. It started with stories, right? I'll do barbecues. I always did barbecues. Always been good at barbecues. But then, from trips away, like in camp, I would always be doing the cooking. And then I'd start a video on it, and then
Would you be cooking for everyone?
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
So I'll do the cooking. I still do actually whenever we're in camp. But then I'd video it. Then I got a lot of feedback. Then I started doing posts and at that stage, even early when I started doing my own little videos, it was like some of my most viewed like footage. Like pieces of content that I had.
Talking about camp, like I'm so obviously being a personal trainer for so long now. Like, how do you like with the stamina? Like for you, like what's your training regime like? What's it like?
Yeah, it's hard work, just in any business or any sport. Like if you want to be good at or the best at it, you want to be great at anything. It's hard work, and you just got to put in the hours. And one thing that has probably separated me from a lot of my opponents, and then I think you'll hear a lot of the elites in the world, like in any sport or whatever it is, they would probably say that I was always willing to do what I felt none of my opponents were willing to do. I was always putting that extra effort. I was back in the gym as soon as I finished my fight, and just really went above and beyond in the gym, and that's really what I think separated me when it comes to work ethic anyway.
For sure. And did that come at how does someone say, for example, like a normal person, because that's not a normal thing, you know what I mean? Was that from a young age when you were playing your rugby days? Was your dad hard on you? My dad was incredibly hard on me. Like the guy was never happy, Like I played a terrible game, and he'd be like, "Oh, Jono, you suck." You know what I mean? And that's the feedback I used to get. But that instilled. I was like, man, I just want to keep doing it because I want to prove my dad. I want him to be happy for me. Is that similar, or like how does that come about?
No, not really. It's a good question though, because that's what I still sort of ask myself. Where did it come from? I'm sure there is a lot of life experiences. I've got a brother, maybe being competitive with each other, and I don't know exactly how to answer that properly, to be honest. Like I really don't. It feels like it's just something that was always there. Like I think the life experiences. It is a hard one because I'm still trying to figure that out. I have these conversations a lot, and I can point at a few things, but I reckon it does go a lot deeper than that.
Of course,
there is something else there. Like I said, like even wrestling my brother at a young age, or just me even playing football, always trying to prove myself because I've always been a smaller guy. I've always been the underdog that way, right? So I've always had something to prove, and it just maybe that's sort of where it comes. I even had my elder sister that used to beat us up as well. She's put my head through the wall and everything, man. I'm telling you. So maybe that's where I get a bit of my durability from.
For sure,
from my sister beating us up. But you just know it wasn't really, and it's probably the way that they raised us as well. They weren't I wouldn't say like that, but at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It really is. It's a tricky one, but it's such a good question, and it's more than just me working hard. Like I could sit there and go, I'm the hardest worker in the room. All right, why? How? How are you that guy? Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. So that's sort of what I'm still trying to figure out, which is exciting because I find out I learn more and more about myself every day. Every time I have these conversations, I talk to somebody and then they touch on something, it will take me back, and which I love having these conversations. But it is something that's always been there. you ask anyone that's trained with me, and that's what I'm known for. I'm just always going above and beyond in the gym. So like when most people would slow down, I would refuse to slow down and just and even my mindset around the training. You always hear people talk about being comfortable in the uncomfortable. Everyone talks about it. Like it's everyone's quote, but how many people are actually doing that? I would love to know, because everyone says it. But I mean, how uncomfortable are you getting?
What is uncomfortable? Like like every person has a different, obviously uncomfortable position. Like for me personally, what you're uncomfortable. If I was to get into that, I'd be like, feel like no chance, like very uncomfortable. So what is that in terms of business? Like Amy, like uncomfortable for you would be in business wise. What would that be?
I guess taking the risk, like always taking risks, always putting myself out there. And I guess for you, Volk, you're obviously driven by training and training for a fight, but then what drives you when you're not? And I know you've spoken about that, like, when you're sitting still and there's nothing going on, like what drives you through those moments?
Another good question, because that's changing depending on the point of your career as well, where while I was on the journey of, I was champion, but on the way to being a champion, even while I was champion, I still had that same mindset of just drive to be better. So it wasn't just me being, people always want to climb that mountain, right? So they want to climb the mountain, and when they, you hear people talking about when they get to the top, they get complacent. But I never did. I wanted to get better. I wanted that mountain that, that I climbed to get to the top. Now I want to build that mountain higher for these guys to climb, to try and get to me.
To try to catch up.
So I wanted to, so it wasn't just about being better than my opponents. It was about me raising the bar, me being better, and that's just sort of how I always was. But I mean, that was hard at that time. As you said, because it doesn't leave much time for anything else. Especially, I was very committed, very dedicated. So a lot of the hours and energy was get stuck into it.
Yeah,
I was
so
dad.
It's on and then it's off.
I was trying to be the best dad I could be, and even the energy can be limited there. And this machine, you know what I mean, or like fighter, Alex, whatever you want to say, I was like, build this machine up, and then be a dad, like, you know what I mean. I didn't have any time for myself or anything like that, and which it can be hard, but at the same time, like I'm not feeling sorry for myself, because that's what it takes, and I'm okay with that. It was hard for me to sort of get my head around it when fights wouldn't come at this, a certain point of my career, where I'm just like, I need to be fighting, because I'm not getting any younger, and so that was a bit harder for me at that point. But it's just it's a tricky one. But it's just depending on the point of your career is sort of where it was at. But I mean, I'm okay with that. As I said, I was okay with the fact that I couldn't be myself. I could even say like a piece of me or a chunk of me went with this career, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, I'm okay with that, because that's what it takes to be the best.
Yeah.
And I had a big break after my last one, because I wanted to let the head rest and things like that, and I got to really build my brand outside of fighting. Cooking with Volk, and
sure. Your brand's
old man Volk. All that stuff.
Man.
You got to see me really commit to that, and it's been great.
Yeah.
But now I'm sort of getting back into, all right, this machine, I need to
build it up again.
So I'm going to be just that. I'm not going to have any energy for anything, and I'm okay with that. And at least now I understand it. I didn't really understand it when it was difficult for me. I didn't get it. Now I get it. Now I know I need to have that fighter's identity.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So I'm ready to tap into that. I'm pretty much tapping into that now. I'm really committed to my diet. I've never... As I said, I've always been very committed to the work ethic, and I always went above and beyond when it comes to work ethic. But the 1%ers, I could have always done better with the diet. I could have maybe dieted that a little bit earlier, so I didn't have to do such a big weight cut. Even though I'll get through it no matter how big the weight cut is, I'm mentally strong to do it, but I could do it better.
Do you think with those 1%ers, like, say for example, the fight didn't go the way you wanted, and if you did those 1%ers, does that go through your mind where you're like, oh, what if I did that 1%? Would I have perform better? I don't know. Is that what if or
really.
no?
I think there was in the last two was more of a timing thing.
Okay.
So you know. But I think now it's crucial because again, I'm not getting any younger,
No.
and I still feel great. But if I'm going to have one last crack at this, I want to give it 100%. I want to go all in, and me going all in again, I feel like I'm not the champ anymore. I'm going to raise the bar and do the 1%ers, get that weight down that little bit more, say, so I can go into camp in better nick, sharper, faster. So I'm going through the hard training at a very high pace, moving how I want. I don't want to just, you know, because we always talk about you want to peak at the right time. And I get that. You want to peak in all cylinders at the right time. But I don't want to be moving at my best 2 weeks out. I want to be, you know,
Just
when I'm
like-
sparring, if I'm sparring some of the guys in the gym for 8 weeks, I want to make sure I'm doing all the right things then.
Yeah,
I don't want to wait till the last couple of weeks. Oh, now I'm starting to move how I want to.
Yeah.
I want to be moving how I want to very early in camp. And so I, you know, and especially now, I'm not as, even though I still feel fast, but I mean, with that extra kilos, I'm feeling them extra kilos now, you know what I mean? Yeah, my body feels it that little bit more. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to bring that down. So I made a decision to myself that no more alcohol, no more cheat meals. And I love my cheat meals. I love my cheat meals. But now I ain't doing it. I'm just going to zone in. I'm already lost like 4 or 5 kilos within a few weeks. And so my nutrition, because I had to do it.
Difference,
it is. Yeah, it does.
Sure.
Even he's like, he goes, man, what are you on your, because my Colby's fighting this weekend in UFC.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you on his diet? What's going on? Go eat a burger. He wants me to eat more. So I'm like, I guess I'm doing something right.
I want to ask like a question that maybe you might have been asked before, but I think, you know, these type of questions are amazing. So say, for example, if you were to tell your 14-year-old self something about, like, you know, the person that person is going to become in the future, what would it be? Like, you know, like for me, like personally, like if I was viewing myself back a 14-year-old, I'd be like, you know, don't worry too much about my failures. Focus on, you know, striving forward, keep moving forward, because eventually you are going to land on something that you're going to be passionate about, something that you're going to love. What about you, Amy?
For me, it would be life's not going to turn out the way you think it is, obviously. And you got to just pivot, adapt, and be okay with that.
What about you, Volks? 14-year-old Volks?
Adapt.
Looking like this.
Yeah. I mean, adapt, like what you said, adapting, you know, I mean, that's something that's been massive for me through my career, especially in the, you know, especially injuries, whatever it is, you need to adjust and make things. So that's obviously with business and that, it's something that I think if you want to be successful in it, you need to know how to adapt. So I just thought that was great. But with me, what would I tell myself?
Yeah.
I want to say like things like, you know, what I sort of touched on earlier about that mindset, but I felt like it was already there for me, so I wouldn't tell him that. But what I would tell, something that I probably did struggle with mainly is, I guess don't be too hard on yourself in the sense of I'm always worried about offending people, and I really do care what people think.
Yeah,
and you should. I'm like, I think it's a good thing, but at the same time, I put a lot of pressure on myself because of it. It does. Sure. And like I'll say something. I'm like, did they take that the wrong way? And I'm doing my head in for something like that. And I just put, you know, and I put too much energy into things like that. And like, you know, people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt, even if you did accidentally say something wrong. But it's just, that's something that I felt like if I struggle with things, that's probably what it is. I'm always worried about what people are thinking. I'm getting a lot better with it now, but that's what I would love to tell myself at a younger age, because I really did struggle with that.
It's a good point, man. And I think it's important to say that too. Because,
well, you hear people talk about that
like,
a lot, but
you do something negative, and like, I don't know, like this is another question for Volks as well. On top of that, like, you know, I don't know, like I remember when I was playing football and I was overseas, and I'd have a terrible game, and you'd read your DMs or whatever, and people just be going off at you, and then I would take that on board and be like, fuck, like, you know, is this really the path that I want to choose in my life? Where if I have a bad performance, people are just going to go off at me.
So it creates like self-doubt.
Self-doubt. And like, I guess for you, like, say, for example, things don't go your way and you lose. Is that something that you tap into? You check your DMs and people writing, I don't know. Do you go to that extent where you read your DMs of people writing?
Well, when we were 14, we didn't know about social media as well.
No.
So maybe,
but
you're right. No. Yeah, I'll tap in that. But I mean, maybe that's something I would say. I'll say this crazy internet thing is going to happen. Be ready for it, because
because man.
you know you don't like to offend the people. you're probably gonna, just because you're fighting someone that they like, you know what I mean? And I have, and that's something that was very, very big for me with the Max Holloway. Especially fighting him and beating him. He was very well loved, so people are gonna hate you automatically just because of that. And then I had a controversial fight with him, which was pretty close, and a lot of people loving him, and they just wanted to be like, and calling it a robbery. And mate, the hate I got. And again, I'm trying to, I'm a people pleaser. I always have been. That's probably something I'll tell myself. Don't try and be such a people pleaser. You know what I mean? You put more energy into that than
I'm
yourself.
like that as well, man, to be honest.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like everyone, I wish more people would care about other people like that as well. But I just feel like I'm on the other end of the scale sometimes, and I'll hold myself and even my family back to make sure other people are, happy, which I'm like, wait a sec, you can be a little selfish there when it's not even selfish, actually. And it's not selfish. It's just, you're just that worried about this, which they probably don't even care. And you shouldn't care about that. But now what? You're going to hold, you and your family back because of that. But anyway, so that's something that I would. I struggled a lot with it with that Max Holloway.
I think it's a big thing, man. So many, I hear so many people really kind. It's people that committed suicide over that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So I think it's such a big,
hardest part.
It's a big thing, and this is the reason why I love obviously bringing in people like yourself, Volks, because you deal with all that, and it's good to know how much pressure that creates on you. Like someone that's so positive light in obviously in the media. It creates so much damage,
And then, because while that happened too, that was like during the quarantines and all that. So I had 2 weeks of just sitting there looking at everyone hating me, and I'm just sitting there going,
tell me,
I'm like, what have I done? You know what I mean? It's just so it was like that was tough. So then I'm trying to tell myself that I don't care, and then trying to be defensive, which would just make it, which is just not me. It's just so then I would trying to have shots at Max and his fans, and which is just like, and then I'm just end up there. I don't need to do any of that, but it was just awkward time. Yeah. So but again, don't worry so much about what people think.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't mean be selfish and be a prick. But
I get what you mean.
But
that
so
also
find a good balance.
Creates that. I guess energy between you guys as a fighter. Like if you're fighting someone, does it actually mean that you hate that person?
No. So exactly right. No. So I get along with all my opponents pretty much. I'm like.
Which I think is
I'm
a good
cool
thing.
with all of them.
I think it's a good thing. Obviously,
it's
I think
a sport. That's
how
I look at it.
That's how you know what I mean. It shows great sportsmanship, and I love seeing the photos always after each fight, and you take a photo together, and you're all beat up. I think and I think that's a great photo for me. I look at that, and I'm like, and I view those photos. I'm like, that's awesome that you can get in the ring, octagon, and actually, fight it out and then take an awesome photo together or have a beer. I've seen some have a beer together. That's mad. That's
for
great.
Sure. So even that is a really cool photo. Obviously, it can be a bit brutal, a bit confronting, seeing blood and all that. But seeing what these guys did to each other, but just to show you that, it's still might not look like a sport when you look at that. But it's the sport. That's how we look at it. So we are obviously going out there, and you physically can hurt them and probably will, but you ain't trying to hurt him in the sense you ain't sitting there, but you are. It's a hard one to explain. You're just doing your job, and while that's happening, someone's probably going to get hurt. But I mean, but there's no malice behind it. It's just, but I mean, you are going to get people. There's going to be bad blood, and that's just how it is.
I'm feeling the energy, Volks. There. I'm like, I'm feeling.
There is a rise in the bare knuckle fighting as well.
I saw that the other week. I seen it.
I'm like
it's just another sport, I guess.
It is, but I mean,
quite savage.
I mean, now I feel like it's just
sponsorships,
even though it is still fighting. But I mean, having the gloves and that for the little bit more protecting the cuts and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, taking them off is showing that it's just more of the element of
ego. Is
even just all right. Now we want to tap into the more violent, right? We want to see more blood. We want to see more.
I saw it,
we're trying to tap more into that. We're wearing the gloves. He's trying to hold that back, but we still want it to be as close to the gladiators as it can be.
Yeah.
But make it a sport, and and if we can pull back on, some of the crazy. That's why you can't do certain things like headbutts and different sort of strikes and using kicking someone while they're down and all that, things that can take it to the next level. We'll take that off. Wear the gloves, so it takes away the cuts. But taking them off, even though it is still them just striking, it's just like, all right, now we want to see blood.
Yeah.
Now we want to take it to that next level.
I
So
remember,
that's all it is. It's like, let's just make it more violent, or look more violent.
It was. I remember sitting with my dad and watching it. We were watching it. I can't remember the names of the two females that were fighting, but they were going at it. And I was like, they were landing some big hits. And I was like, this is like intense, like, to watch. And I was there with my dad and we're like, but hey, at the end of the day, that's kind of the sport that they're thriving towards. It's,
so when Jono and I were speaking, remember in the car, we were like, what are we going to ask Volk? And what do you really want to know? So Jono was like, how does it feel when someone has you in a headlock? But I said, Volk would never get in a headlock. So what goes through your mind when you are like in that, like, holy shit, I'm about to, like,
I've been in a...
Because you watch the movies. I watch the movies, and I refer it to like what they put, and it's like my family flashes, and then I don't know.
I've got the perfect story here, because you literally just touched on all these things that it's gonna work perfectly right now. So I had a fight with Brian Ortega, and he's a submission specialist. So when I say submission specialist, anyone that's been in any of his grips, like if he grabs a neck, game over. Gets a triangle, game over. He's even his nickname's T City, which means Triangle City. You get put there, you're out. There's no way of getting out. So we're going there, and I'm fixing him up. Like I'm doing pretty good, and then he gets me in this guillotine, the deepest guillotine you'll ever see. So I was like put in, and the technique behind how he got me was beautiful. So we had like wrapped really deep, even the way he had the legs wrapped. So he he's there. His legs was my arms trapped at one stage? I can't remember. Yeah, but he had his legs behind me. He was able to. The video on the... So he had his hips like right like on me with his legs behind me. So I was completely under him. He must be flexible. So I'm getting a bit technical here, but he was able to really control my hips at the same time, because I usually like to push on the hips to make space so I can release the choke a little bit. He somehow was able to lock his legs around me, keep his hips in, so I could not make any space at all. So I had to get my legs free first. So this is beautiful technique. So anyway, so it was that deep. So I'm doing everything that you see me sort of kick around. A lot of that was just to try and get his legs a little bit lower so I can start to push on the hips. I started doing that. I'm like turning my neck in. So I'm doing all the right stuff, doing everything right, and it's still not working. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh no, this ain't good. So the lights start dimming. So this is what I'm talking about. This is like, picture, I'm like going there, because at the start I get put there and then I'm like down. I'm like, and I realize where I am. I'm like, oh no, I start trying to get out, and then the lights started going. I'm like, this ain't good. But then I'm like, I literally had a moment, and you think this is just, I'm just saying this, but it's legit. I remember it wasn't a movie scene where I was like, oh yeah, but I literally thought to myself, there's no way I'm letting this guy take my belt away from my family, or taking, the championship or money. Like, it was that type of vibe I had in my head. I was literally thinking of that while the lights were dimming, that I was like, there's no way he's taking this away from me. There's no way. So like I said, I was doing everything right, and it still wasn't working, but I'm just like, I'm not going to give up. Most people would have just not even did the right things to get themselves out, or to even try, because it's that deep. Like, a lot of people are like, tap, done. Where I'm like, there's no way I'll do this, still not working, the lights are dim, and I'm like, it's either his arms gas or I die, you know what I mean, or go to sleep, you know what I mean? And so I said, I'll just keep doing this and make that space, and the lights started coming back a little bit. So he must have just, the grip started maybe getting a little bit looser, and the lights started coming back, and I'm like, straight away, I'm still getting strangled here, so I still can't breathe. But the fact that the lights were coming up, I knew he was gassing. So I'm already thinking that's why there's a bit of a few layers of the mental side of things here.
Kind of goes back
the
to
mindset.
Being uncomfortable.
So this is real uncomfortable. Then all of a sudden, I'm still uncomfortable, but the light's coming back. So I know he's getting tired. So straight away, I'm like, as soon as I get out, I'm making him pay. So I'm already thinking of what I'm going to do to him, because I know he is now uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable, but now he's getting uncomfortable. I'm going to capitalize on him being uncomfortable. I'm going to make him pay. So literally got on top, and then pretty much most people thought I finished that round because the ref come in and stopped, but he thought it was over, but the fight kept going. But Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was
Wow.
that was
That moment.
it was a crazy moment. If you put up a lot of people that know me, know they always ask me about that choke. Like,
Yeah.
how did you get out?
Mm.
Yeah.
And even
So
when
then-
Ortega's asked that, he's like, he goes, I don't know, like
I
I don't know how he got out. Because like, I've been there a million times and I've choked out a million people and they've never got out, especially that deep. He knows when it's in, it's in. So he can't explain. He goes, I don't know. So it was just but that was when we talk about digging deep and being uncomfortable and I don't want to drag this on, but we talk about the uncomfortable. And you said, what is uncomfortable for people? How far is the uncomfortable? And I've sort of changed that quote for me. Is like I get when I'm trying to get myself uncomfortable, it gets that uncomfortable. You can never make it comfortable. So the training we do it's never going to be comfortable. Like it can't be. But I accept the uncomfortable. So I've changed that to the accept the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I am going to be, it's going to be hurt. It's going to be, it's going to suck and suck really, really bad.
So you raise the bar every time.
So it's always going to be that hard that it's never going to be comfortable, but I can deal with it better. I can accept it and deal with that better. Same as with me being in that choke. Like he was near death, but I can accept where we are and just try and problem solve. You know what I mean? So when I get real uncomfortable, can I still problem solve there? I'm not going to be comfortable, make myself like, cool, like it ain't ever going to be like that.
Yeah.
But can I still be that uncomfortable and still be able to problem solve? Can people problem solve under being that uncomfortable? That's what I want to know. So that's how I've sort of changed it.
Yeah.
Accept the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's like seriously, it's been awesome, obviously hearing all that background stuff. Obviously Volks, a lot of people know yourself. Tell me something, what's something that people don't know.
What's something that people don't know?
I don't know. Obviously a new watch, maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
Watch
And the shoes, matching shoes, matching
Yeah,
watch.
mate, we got it. Here we
I
go.
don't know,
Shop
yeah.
at the same place.
What's
What about like the new? I saw the Under Armour thing that you did with the Rock.
Oh
I
my
was like,
God.
mate,
That's still going.
Massive rock
yeah,
fan.
I've seen
Okay.
it, and I remember
I was like,
like,
wow.
tell me about that.
Yeah, that was cool. So we did that. It was a bit of a late notice sort of thing. They're just like they came to Sydney. I think they had someone in mind, but then The Rock ended up goes, nah, I want a UFC fighter. I want Alex.
Wow.
So they changed that like last minute, and I'm just like, I
Really?
called for it. I'm like, all right, gonna
That's
have to do
pretty-
this.
that's pretty
You know what I
man.
mean? Yeah. So I'm like, all right, let's do that. So that was cool. It was really cool. So I got to do that, and so I got a couple of. I did a little cooking with Volk segment and that
as well. Yeah,
so it was
awesome.
cool.
It's coming out.
But what do people
how
don't
good's
know
that?
about me? You were asking
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, tell me.
Yes.
Massive Harry Potter fan.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Massive Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
Jono, oh no, you went to
Sort
Lord
of,
of the Rings.
Sort, yeah, it's a bit
that's
different,
totally
but you're
Lord of
good.
the Rings, yeah, same,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but I'm like, I feel connected with Harry Potter.
That's good. I didn't know that about
I'm telling you,
man.
mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they didn't let me down. So I've had some other movies like Game of Thrones was one of them, and that was
You were
it.
hooked,
I
yeah,
walked
hooked.
out to the Game of Thrones theme song for my whole career, all the way to I won my title.
Wow.
And,
that theme song's
yeah,
pretty
that-
intense. It's
Yeah,
like,
so that
yeah,
was.
I know the one.
The
I'm
idea
not doing it.
was.
Yeah.
I want
Do
you
Do you want to sing it, Volk?
Go, let's do it. Isn't
Dun,
it?
dun, dun, dun,
That's the one. That
There
is-
we go. There we
that
go.
is the one.
So I walked out of it that many times. I don't know how I didn't remember it. But so that was the journey to the throne. So then I got it, and then I got to let it go. Yeah, so I got the throne. But but with Harry Potter, it didn't let me down. Game of Thrones, you let me down. I'm telling did that last season.
Yes.
I don't. You watched the Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you watched Game of Thrones?
I've watched Game of Thrones. Yeah, I have.
Yes.
I was that was another one where I was felt connected. Like, you know what I mean? I felt more
The
involved.
series, yeah.
Then, you know what I mean? I
You
felt
got-
like I was a part of it. I was a part of the world almost, like I am with Harry Potter. Still am. But I was there. Like, I loved it. And then the last season, I just couldn't believe. Like, they just... Anyway, I won't get
Did
into
you-
that. I'm
One
like,
question: did you cry? Any crying in it?
probably
Have you
cried how
in
much
a
they
movie
let me down. Oh, do I cry in
Yeah,
movies?
yeah. Like, I've cried. I don't know if I cried
Especially
on the
when you're
Notebook.
getting
No,
older
the
as well.
Notebook's in there.
Yeah, as you're getting older, I mean,
yes.
being a
Pulling
dad
some
and getting older, I'm
heartstrings.
sitting there,
Yeah.
I'll start watching, start choking up. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I choke up easy nowadays.
What movie have you cried on?
I cry every time.
do
I
you?
cry watching a dog on Instagram.
I'm trying to remember when I cried last in a movie, eh?
I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
there's movies that I
Yeah.
shouldn't be crying at that sometimes I'm
Yeah.
crying about. But Harry
Yeah.
Potter, no, I don't think I cried in here. They probably cried that it finished because I was devastated. But I mean, I've got the wands. I've got everything, man. It's I love it.
Harry Potter World. There's a Harry Potter World now, isn't
I
there?
mean,
No, I
like,
think so,
you know,
here
people
in Sydney,
say
I think, yeah.
still waiting for that invite. You know what I mean? I'm probably too old now, but
Well, you're going to get it now, I reckon.
Huh?
When they watch
Mate,
this,
yes,
you're going to
that's
get
it. If there is a Harry Potter world out there, hit me up.
So your family, do you ever, like, I know I am very into my business and I put so much time and effort into it. Obviously, that's where we failed
Yeah.
in terms of our relationship.
Mm.
But then also I've got a partner as well.
Mhm.
And he obviously, you know, I am working so hard. I put so much time and effort into it. Do you ever feel like guilty for putting so much time and effort into, you know, what you do and then taking that time away from the fam?
Yeah, I feel very, very guilty. But I mean, a lot of times, a lot of my decisions are based around them. So I'd probably, you know, most people in my sort of situation probably would be elsewhere more. Where I you know, a lot of times there, I even have my wife saying, "You got to do this, you got to go there." Like, so I'm actually probably more on the other end where I still got to be that busy, but in camp usually, you know, I got my wife going, "You need to do," you know.
So you have that support.
Yeah, I have that support.
Yeah,
so
so
like,
that's
but I mean, I do feel very guilty. So right now, because I was in New Zealand, remember this is that last crack as well. So you know, my wife's like, you know, we got to go all in. You know, so she wants me to be able to put all my energy into training camp. But I had to obviously be here for UFC Fight Week because Colby's on the card, so I'm cornering. And I was in Canberra doing a couple of. So this week I wasn't meant to be away so long. So now all week I felt like guilty because I've got a few other things that I needed to do, and then I'm going to Thailand on Monday for the camp. So so it's a lot happens. So yeah, I do. I feel very guilty, but if anything, I'm probably on the other end where, you know, a lot of people probably in my situation probably wouldn't. But yeah, so like I feel like it is hard, very hard. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, even when my wife's telling me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
does she go with you? Like the fam go with you? Or?
It's hard because we've got the three girls as well, so it is hard, especially like with school and things like that. But here and there, we'll take them. But I just don't go as much.
Yeah.
So you know, most times you could probably do like a month away for camp or something. I'll just try and stick to like 10 days or something like that, which is, again, I'm already feeling more bad, and you know, and then my wife's going, I think you should do more, and even my manager and wife got to try and talk me into spending more time doing camp here and there, but I'm just like, nah, I ain't having it.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Obviously, you know, great support network because like, you know, there's a guy. Obviously, I don't know if you follow football. Pep Guardiola, Manchester City coach. Like, he spent all his life just working, and then his wife couldn't take it anymore, and obviously decided to leave the relationship. So but for me personally, I would go your approach. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you're focusing on, you know, your career, but which obviously helps, you know, your family, and you know, I think it's super important to have a great support network.
So you try and bring, you know, if you can, try and bring whatever you need to yourself, you know. So I'll bring my team, the training and that, I'll bring them to our gym. So I'll have them stay. So I've got the bodies that I'm, you know, training with and things like that. I'll bring them to me, and so I could still be home. But that's what, as I was saying earlier on, you feel bad, but I'll make sure all my energy is going into training and family, which leaves no time for myself, which I'm okay with, but that's what it takes. So that's how I'm able to still balance and be the best father I can be, because I just sacrifice a lot of my own time.
That's awesome, man.
What do you do for yourself? And like, is there anything that you can do or that you put into
my
yourself?
own time is, I guess,
like your training, right?
Yeah. So I guess that, you know,
cooking
with the cooking.
Yeah,
So now
cooking.
that I do all these things, I just look at that as you know, because I still, you know, enjoy it, even though it is still working. Like, you still got to run around, and but at the same time, you know, I'll just be like, all right, at least I get to, you know, do a little bit of things in myself, build on my brand and stuff like that. But I mean, it's only a few more years, and then maybe I can do more golf or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's things like that. So it's because that's again, I would always, most people after their fights, they have their fight, then they have a month or two where they're doing a lot of their own thing. But I was back in the gym straight away, but that's what made me the champion I was for so long, because I was doing what other people weren't doing. They will have a month off, partying or whatever it is. I would, I'll have a drink, don't get me wrong, but then I'm straight back in the gym.
That's awesome, Volks. Any other questions that you got there, Amy?
Anything you want to leave our listeners with?
And anything that you want to like leave as well, Alex, out of this?
Man,
we're
just,
more than happy to get rid of it.
You touched on the cooking with Volk and all that. That's good.
Also, I guess I always like to kind of like one piece of motivation to obviously like people watching this. It could be kids, it could be people struggling. Like one bit of motivation that would inspire someone to be like, you know what, I'm on the ground, and they could listen to you right now and be like, it's going to pick them up. What would that be?
Oh man, it's a tricky one.
Yeah,
because everything needs a balance. You want people to just, as I said, something that I did struggle is don't be too hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what the things. If you're doing what you can to try and better yourself, that's good. All right, accept what you're doing, and then don't be too hard on yourself. If you make the wrong decision, all right, try and fix it, but then don't be too hard to move on. You know what I mean? Just don't be too hard on yourself.
And then
that's probably something I could say.
Another one, what's your high and low?
What's your high and low and Castano? So we do this thing, we sit around the table, we talk about our high of the week, our low of the week, and Castano is something random. So what's your high of the week?
High of the week is I got a very close training partner of mine. Like we just got him in the UFC, signed to the UFC, which is a massive opportunity for him. And that's what I'm here for. So I'm here to support him of that. So it's incredible to see, because he's when we talk about that hard work, he's got all them traits that I've always had. He's got it. So it's good to see someone get something in return, right? So it's unreal. So that is a very, very rewarding feeling. Low is I've got to be away from the fam. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's probably a low. And a random thing is, what's a random thing? I haven't watched Harry Potter. That's random. I haven't watched Harry Potter. I haven't done many weeks without Harry Potter. Especially with the kids, because I did. We're talking about. I did so many episodes. I've watched every episode probably 10 times each. Wow. I'm not lying. Wow. Then my kids got into it, so now I watched it another 10 times each. So.
What house are you? Are you House Slytherin? Are you?
Come on, I'm a Harry Potter guy. I've even got the scars to prove it. You know what I mean?
I love it. Yeah. What's your low and high, Amy?
High probably being on the Entrepreneur Summit yesterday. Jono and I did a talk. Low, it's made me stressed and being busy, and I mean that's not a low, but just not having time for myself, I guess. And random thing, what's random?
It's a hard one.
It is, yeah.
But what's random? Come on, Harry Potter? You didn't watch Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm not into Harry Potter. That's random. What's yours?
Talking about Harry Potter.
Where
did Harry Potter come into the podcast?
Yeah, we love this.
That's random.
My high, I'd probably say the same as you, when we first started, this whole thing, our journey is insane. Obviously we're not together anymore. We've got this amazing relationship, and going and doing this together as a team, and actually the brand and what we've worked so hard for. We're constantly every single day working on this business, and I think for us to actually be recognized, like you said, you had a close person that got recognized for their hard work, the same as me. I feel that as well, and I think that's definitely the high for me. For me, low would probably be I think probably not spending enough time with my parents. Obviously I went away, and for me, whenever I don't spend time with mum and dad, it kind of I don't know, hits me here hard, because I feel like my family's, I don't know how people's families, they've always been so hard on me, and whenever I don't do anything good, I feel like I'm not doing good enough, and I still feel that fire. I want to make them happy. Random thing for me this week would probably be such a hard one, randomness. I'd probably say, random in a good way, having, I guess, Volks here, and, when we first met, you know, we did this PlayStation job together. You
And
know,
it was in here.
it was in
wasn't
here
Yeah.
and this here, and we made the
Throw-
meow a little
Yeah, I was
thing.
going to say,
The
throw it out there,
meow,
throw it out
we-
there.
we did- we
That'll
just
be the
kept
random
doing a
one.
meow, like we just kept saying meow, and like he's kicking me to the bloody stomach. But you know, I think that's probably random, and obviously having you here, and it just shows, you know, that you're such an amazing person, and you know, I'm the type of person when you give to me, man, like you're my family now. So if you ever need something in life,
Appreciate it, man.
whatever, you just call me, I'll be there.
You're a Castano.
You're a
also now.
Castano. so you know, thank you, and I think it's probably been my random good moments in life. You know.
Love that.
Awesome.
Love it. Well, thanks
Awesome.
for coming on our podcast, Volk.
Thank you guys.
And
Thanks.
look forward to seeing everything that you do, especially cooking with Volk.
Yes, yeah, cooking
Yeah.
well with those new
And that
watches,
episode,
Those
yeah.
new watches.
Yeah, see, you know,
Jono
we're blinging
coming
right
in.
up. Blinging right up.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thank you.